Our final team for Let's Be the GM this off season has to do with the champions, Denver Nuggets. Congrats to them, obviously getting the job done, 5 games, and winning their first franchise championship, right? In 47 years, I think, or something like that. Yeah, so really exciting, obviously, for the town of Denver. They got the parade, had a few shootings as usual, right? It was some interesting reports there, right? With the parade, and there was as many injury reports, and some police guy got injured too. I think, I don't know. As there was champagnes being popped. I think. Look, anyway, well onto the Nuggets there, and I guess really as any sort of championship winning team should do, not like the Lakers, is probably keep the core together and just have another go, right? And I guess for the Nuggets here, the good news here is that one, they're young still, all their players are still in their prime. Two, and more importantly, so all their players are locked up. Yeah, all their key players here are locked up to multiple years on their contract still, and most of them are reasonably priced. Jokic, Murray, Michael Porter Jr. and Aaron Gordon all locked up here at a reasonable number. So, you got your great core there. And KCP, even 3 years still left on his contract there. So, you sort of run it back. But I think the key though, and the important point here is that they need to fill out their bench probably with a similar format or formula as they did this year with the sort of veterans that they did sort of acquire and ultimately won themselves a ring. We're talking about players like Ish Smith, like Jeff Green, like DeAndre Jordan. It's like, can they go? If these guys don't come back, and not necessarily that they need to bring them all back, even in that sense, but if these guys don't come back, can they find other similar sort of vets, maybe chasing their first ring? Yeah, that are obviously great, high character leaders that not needing to play too many minutes, but can step into a role when needed, but happy to sort of sit on the bench and continue to really mentor and encourage and so on and so forth. This sort of unit and sort of the team that they are, I think that would be really important. I think it can be easier sometimes to go down a path to try and find like younger prospects, obviously with much less proven track records and obviously not much of a salary cap hit. But I think I think the depth here was important. Yeah, I think the depth here was important, and ultimately they stayed healthy, so it might not have been needed, but it was probably important that they had that sort of depth this year for them to complete this run. Think about the Warriors. Maybe that's where you could argue that they went wrong a little bit the last off season. Yeah, they obviously had a bit of a veteran depth the year before when they won. They let a lot of those players walk for one reason or another. Price is obviously a big decision factor there. And then they brought in all these cheap sort of G League two-way contracts and stuff like that, and it didn't give them that bench depth that they needed. So I think Denver probably need to take heed there and maybe consider how they continue to just keep veteran presence on the bench.
Well, I think like any good championship window, obviously it's probably your top 2 to 3 players are core to your ability to continue. And then you hope that the people that fill around that fit similar roles to what you previously had in your championship run, right? So obviously with the Lakers, with Kobe and Shaq, you wanted to have, defensive minded people and some threes, not that threes are as big back then, but that kind of philosophy. With Denver, I think the gift of Jokic here is that as long as you can shoot or cut or play defense, you probably have a role on the team. So the bench can be quite interchangeable as long as they're not obviously getting, 38-year-old veterans or 20-year-olds that think that their role's
Mm.
bigger than they actually are. So, their championship window has potential to be extended. I think one thing that's important to highlight, and this isn't to dim the success of the Denver Nuggets, is next year the West has a chance to have a couple more contenders, right? I think a lot of the rhetoric this year was the West was wide open, when in reality, maybe it was if you wanted to finish second. So, the Lakers, if they come back as the same core, yes, LeBron's a little bit older, but they clearly were a different team post the trade deadline. And with a full season under their belt, do they look different? Maybe, maybe not. Phoenix obviously has a chance to retool and get a full season with KD. It'll be interesting to see. And obviously, I get to now proclaim that Phoenix was the legitimate contender to Denver because they took the most games off them, which again, it's a testament to how great Denver was that they only lost 2 games in a series, but Phoenix was the team to do it. So Phoenix retooling and coming back, I think Denver would have to be conscious of that. Um, so what do they need to do? First one is obviously Bruce Brown. I think that was a great pickup. He had a couple of moments in the finals and along the playoffs where he could give you 20 plus points. But if he didn't give you the 20 plus points, he was still doing your defensive stuff. He was still doing all the things that you need. And, when Murray doesn't have it because he didn't in a couple of games, or when Jokic gets into foul trouble, you do want to have that third option. Obviously, Aaron Gordon, really, great contract now, right? 20 million for a real Swiss Army knife. He's probably going to come back a little bit more disciplined and focused. And, obviously he's at a different stage of career now than he was at Orlando. So, I think you've got Jokic, I think you've got Murray, and I think you've got Gordon. That's your core. And I've left the name out, and it's Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. is getting about 30 million a year. And his contract has a couple of caveats here where he's a bit of a health concern, and that's just the nature of him. Unfortunately, he's had some back issues, he's had some foot issues, etc. But we also saw him during these playoffs, and the allure of Michael Porter Jr. is that he's 6'10" and can give you 30 points in a finals game. He can also give you 5, and that's a wild swing. And the defensive stuff is sometimes a concern. Fell out of the rotation for certain moments in the finals. And at 30 million, when Denver is already with those big four pretty much right at the cap anyway, I'm going to pull the trigger on something dramatic. I'm the casual GM that comes in and just ruins everything or does something dramatic. I think Porter Jr. needs to move out. And the player I'm bringing back in, the reason I'm bringing this player back in is because of the contract length, not because of the talent or the potential, but the contract length. I'd bring back in Gordon Hayward, right? So Charlotte would take a flyer on him because young, interesting, prospective player. And if it doesn't pan out, well, Charlotte's expectations are different. But Gordon comes in for 2 years less, could obviously do something with him in his final year as of next season. But Gordon Hayward, like anyone with Jokic, may still be just as successful. Not going to play as many games, but in a regular season that Denver just kind of proved didn't matter. I don't think that's too big of a deal. So Gordon Hayward's stock is plummeted from his days in Utah.
Are the Hornets throwing in that number 2 pick as well?
If they did, I mean, why not? I don't think Charlotte should. If Charlotte did, because they love Michael Porter Jr. so much, that's a great trade for Denver. They'd pull that trigger every time.
That would be an intriguing trade. Hayward and a number 2 pick for Michael Porter Jr. You feel like if you're a Nuggets front office right there, you would have to go, are they serious? You'd have to have a double take here. Are they serious? And then now you're going, do I give up this player? We've just won a ring. He's still 24. He's probably our future. Or he pairs well with obviously our all-star core right now. But you got to get the number 2 pick there too as well, and a sort of a proven vet, I guess. So I don't know. That's an intriguing trade, dude. But if we're talking about ridiculous trades, just for a bit of fun, because I had Trade Machine open to, oh well, Michael Porter Jr. is on 30 million. I just could trade him for Karl-Anthony Towns, and it turns green as well. So I don't know. They could just add, Cat on the team and Cat with Jokic and Jamal Murray. Oh, I feel like you could probably go repeat then. I don't know, but it goes green, right?
All right. I think I was overdue for a legitimate trade, and I really want you to match my thinking here because I need you to.
The legitimate trade for the champions Denver Nuggets is none. They don't need to make any trades. Let's be clear here. You don't need to make any trades here. L1, go to another team, right? Change teams right now, yeah?
I think, look, here is the thing that will either age well or age poorly, but this is the Michael Porter Jr. experience. If he gets injured, you are now stuck with a $30 million contract, and he is not going to play for you.
That goes for every player, any player. If you get injured, put a name there. If you get injured, we're stuck with your contract, and that sucks.
But here's the thing: when you play a probability game with players, if I say if Mikal Bridges gets hurt or if Zion Williamson get hurt, there is connotated history with both of those players that really changes your perspective of it. Now, yes, I'd be trading Michael Porter Jr. for Gordon Hayward. Right? Neither player has a great history track record for staying on the court for long periods of time. But what I am articulating here is I'm this casual GM that's come in. I'm really concerned about this CBA thing. And you're not locked up to this big four for just next season. You're locked into them for the next 4 seasons. By getting Gordon Hayward, you get what, in my opinion, will be a very similar player to what Porter Jr. does, because Porter Jr.'s ceiling and floor is is bigger than Gordon Hayward's. Gordon Hayward will probably just give you a solid 15, but he's going to give you that solid 15 more consistently than Porter Jr. does, because Porter Jr. will average 15 off having 25 and 30-point explosions and then having really dud 8 and 10-point nights. So the 2 years is the thing that I'm fixating on. The contract gets reduced by 2 years for about the same money. And you know that people are more likely to trade for a terrible contract in the last year, which means that you run it back with Gordon Hayward taking the slot of Michael Porter Jr., which I don't think tips your scale any further into your championship window, pro or con. And then it means that you have flexibility the following season to do something else. Because what happens here is if Michael Porter Jr. gets hurt, you are stuck with him for multiple seasons, not just one, like Gordon
Yeah,
Hayward
but
would be.
you
That's my
alluded to it.
thinking here.
So you would rather a player that just averages 15 points a game versus a player that can average or score between 15 and 30 points on any given night. That's what you just
Yeah,
said,
because
right?
it's not no, because it's not within 15 and 30 points. For Michael Porter Jr., the experience is he could have a 5-point night or he could have a 30-point night. And that's great potential, but you already
Gordon,
get that with
I'll pull up
Jokic
a
and
stat
Murray,
right now.
and Gordon
How
can
many
do it too.
how many single digit games did Gordon Hayward have this year? I'd love that stat right now. I don't have it,
Well,
okay? But
where's the stat guy?
I'm sure he had multiple single digit scoring games this year. Because Gordon Hayward's what, 35 now? I don't know. Tell me how old
No,
Gordon
no, no, no.
Hayward is.
All
How
right,
old is
hold on.
Gordon
I'm
Hayward right
I'm
now?
gonna be the stats guy.
Now I feel like I need to know how Gordon Hayward is, yeah? Who can type
All
faster
right,
here?
what we're gonna do. All right, I'm gonna
He
throw
is
a couple of Gordon
33.
Hayward
He
stats at
is
you. Hey,
33.
hey,
Okay, he
I'm
is
gonna throw some Gordon
33.
Hayward. How many games did he play last season? How many games did he play last season?
I don't care. He's
If you already have it
33.
open,
Okay, he's 33. Michael Porter Jr. is 24. That's it. You do not trade a player for 9 years older, okay, that simply saves you $90 million. Because that's not
I
how,
mean, that to me
that's
that
not,
doesn't sound
yeah, that's
that
not
doesn't
how
sound terrible.
NBA owners work. Yeah, that's not how
Well,
NBA franchises work. Okay, not
this
when you're a championship winning team. See, that's the key.
all right.
If they were bottom last in the West and they had this payroll, maybe. Okay, but you just want a ring, you pay the money, and you ride this as far as you can ride it. Can you repeat? Maybe get a three-peat. Who knows, right? Who knows? See what
All
happens.
right, so I need to I need to really double down on this because I'm actually quite passionate about this. How many games over the last 2 seasons do you think Michael Porter Jr. has played?
He has
Last two
played
regular seasons.
62 and 9.
So 71, correct?
Yep,
How many games has Gordon Hayward played over the last 2 seasons?
maybe a few more than that.
A few more. It's 99 games, right? So a
Okay,
49 and 50 game respective. And
okay.
obviously with Charlotte, there is a caveat here that what is the purpose of playing him when you are trying to tank, right? Those 50 game marks often correlate with about the midseason. Now, Gordon Hayward hasn't had a good track history. In fact, since 2018, it's been 52, 44, 49, and 50. But Michael Porter Jr., 55, 61, 9, and 62. What I'm saying is, I get it. The potential, the age, it's all very, very alluring here. But to you sincerely saying that to get $90 million off your cap, which like is 30 million per season, that flexibility isn't worth the fact that you're going to go like for like. The
No,
point averages are
no,
about the same.
no. You absolutely do not. You do not. And you cannot say with a straight face, Michael Porter Jr. at 24 is like for Gordon Hayward at 33. Yeah, you're not. If you're saying Gordon Hayward All-Star before, all these injuries at the Utah Jazz, maybe, okay, all right. In fact, maybe Gordon Hayward was a superior player at that point. Perhaps you could make that argument. But right now, Michael Porter Jr. in 2023 and Gordon Hayward are not a like-for-like player, and you just want a ring, you pay the 90 million and any sort of penalties and taxes on top of that too, because that's what you do as a championship winning team.
Okay, so obviously this is going to be up to people's engagement and if they decide to take. I like your level of passion. I'm going to be a little bit more respectful. If you want to stay the course, that's perfectly fine. I'm thinking of extending this championship window because let's be honest, the older Michael Porter Jr. gets, the worse off your chances are of him staying healthy. And even if he does stay healthy, I understand that he has a lot of alluring potential, but the problem is, and you can't really deny this because that's what the stats say, he is on par with 32-year-old Gordon Hayward in terms of points and rebounds and shooting splits. That is actually what both of those players will offer you. And here's the difference. Michael Porter Jr. is already playing against the best passing big man of all time, who runs one of the most effective offenses. Imagine if Gordon Hayward came in with a less role, because on Charlotte, he's like one of the two players that are actually doing something. He comes into Denver and he gets to play the Michael Porter Jr. role. Like I actually think that I think it's a good trade. I think it's a good trade, and I want other people to think it too.
This is Two Guys with Spare Time. I'm Faz, this is Nick. You're probably a basketball fan like us, so hopefully you can throw us an assist and giving our video a like and subscribing to our channel.
And if you got thoughts, feelings, or even some suggestions, please put them down in the comment section below. And thank you for using your spare time to watch us in our spare time.